Representative Steve Chabot, as a member of the Congressional Small Business Community, how will international trade deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership that helped erode and fray our social programs for over 20 years benefit U.S. economic growth, capital access, and labor? Now it's time to abolish the trade deals that the Federal Reserve created and focus on domestic labor issues, capital access, and our previous social contract.
TPP, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, obviously hasn't happened yet, and the United States is working with a number of other nations on both sides of the Pacific in determining whether it's in the best interest of the United States to sign on or not. A lot needs to be resolved yet. There's a lot to go. President Obama had hoped to have this wrapped up by the end of this year, which is only a couple of weeks away. That's obviously not going to happen. A couple of major countries have come in recently, particularly Japan, which makes it a little more complex. And any deal that's reached, it would be my intention to make sure that the U.S. interests are protected and that's our number one determination. I am in favor of international trade. I think in general that's good for when we have trade agreements, if they're fair. That's good for job creation here in the United States and overseas. It creates markets overseas for us to sell our products to. It can improve all those involved, but it can also hurt those involved if it's not done correctly. There's a lot of complicated things still that have to be determined. You've got protections of various crops on the other side of the Pacific, rice in particular. You've got pharmaceuticals, you've got a whole range of products out of the United States that have to be determined in the final agreement. And we're just not there yet. There's a related issue, obviously, as far as giving. They used to call it fast track. The name's changed over the years, but basically to give once the president and the executive branch reaches an agreement and signs on to the deal, it comes back to Congress, and we have to. It can either be voted up or down if he's got the appropriate powers if Congress passes this, or if not, then it can be opened up and every single thing can be voted on, and that generally unravels the whole deal. So that's something that has to be worked out. It's called Trade Promotion Authority now. It used to be called Fast Track years ago. So it's a tough. It's hard to give you a short answer as to how this is all going to play out. In general, I'm in favor of trade agreements if they're good for the United States, but would support it if I didn't think it was good for the United States. In the greater Cincinnati area, there are a lot of jobs that are affected by this. You've got some of the larger corporations, for example, Procter & Gamble and GE Aircraft Engines, that employ a lot of people here. A lot of the business that they're engaged in that creates jobs for people here is selling their products overseas. So they tend to be in favor of these types of agreements in general, although I can't say that any of the local folks have been really that active yet. Now, I happen to be the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Asia and Pacific, so I've met with and talked with a lot of folks about this, both in the U.S. and overseas as well. But any input that you would like to give, or any groups that you're associated with, we'd certainly be interested in that input also.
Okay. My second question was, I believe that you're on the Committee for Southeast Asia, is that correct?
Yeah, it's called the Asia and Pacific Subcommittee, and I'm the chairman of that committee, yes. And I'm also on the Middle East and North Africa Committee as well in Foreign Affairs, and chaired that in the last Congress.
There was I think it's a Schedule 3, it's a plant called Kratom that's used to make a tea, which helps heroin sufferers get over their addiction-related problems. And I think it was the DEA that said, no, you can't bring them into the country country, and I called, I think it might have been the club's office, and told them about it. And I think you were overseas at the time, and I didn't know if they had ever reminded you or if you had ever looked into that.
We'd be happy to look into it. That doesn't ring a bell with me at this point in time. We don't have a Columbus office. We've got an office here in Cincinnati, and then in Washington, and then Warren County came into our district as of the last redrawing of the line, so we have an office in Lebanon up in Warren County. And we can check with my staff, because there may be somebody already working on it, and it may not have come to my attention, but I'd be happy to check into
Might
that.
have been Washington.
Yeah, it could be, but I'll check into that.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Nice to meet you, Lloyd. Thank you.